Welcome back, everybody, to the Nintendudez podcast. And who is joining me today before I announce this amazing topic that we have?
Mike.
Travis.
What? Why is that funny? You did it good.
The delay there always gets me.
Well,
there's just,
you know.
Either way, no, you guys did amazing. So our topic today is going to be specific games after game. I said that badly. It's going to be on the whole topic of an after game, whether it's important, what's important in an after game. And the first question is to you guys both, and whether you guys think an after game is actually necessary to have in a game, or really it should only have the main story. What do you guys think?
Well, I think.
Okay.
You know what?
Mike, we are not in sync today.
Yeah, you know what?
Do you want me to go?
Yeah, you can go, Travis.
Okay. I don't really think it's necessary. Because sometimes you can, beat the boss, you feel really accomplished about it, and then, the after game kind of just, makes it less exciting, I guess. Just because, it was this big climatic moment, and now you're like, okay, now I'm just going to be doing this random crap. I mean, it depends on, how they approach the after game, but I definitely don't think it's needed, because if they make the story, end in a really good way, then I don't think it's needed. Like in Halo 3, I really liked that ending. If they, made us part, after that actual ending, I would have been really sad.
Right. That's true.
Okay. What do you think,
Mike?
I mean, because I'll wait for you. I'll wait for you to say it, and then I'll give my thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, Travis pretty much said what I was gonna say, where it's not necessary. I don't think, a game needs to have that. I think there's plenty of amazing games that have come out in the past that don't have after games. I do think it's nice to have in certain games. I think a lot of the games that I play that do have them, like Elder Scrolls or Fallout, they work good in because those games kind of have open endings where it kind of just goes on. You beat a bad guy, now you just have the world to explore. So for an exploration game, I think it's good. But for all other games, I don't think it matters. For example, Shovel Knight, I think would have a pretty useless end game because what are you going to do in it, Or Call of Duty doesn't need an end game because it's a linear story. But open world games, I think are more suited for it, and it usually fits better. But again, it depends on the story in the game, really.
Okay, I see what you mean. The thing that I was gonna actually kind of say about this, and when I was kind of brainstorming this topic, was I think after games were way more important in earlier versions of games, because once games stopped being so difficult and were kind of fast to finish, they would want to keep playing the game, and you could do so by replaying the game, or like what they did in Pokemon, maybe add some extra gyms afterwards to keep the game going. Because what people wanted is, especially if they wanted to keep playing the game and they loved the game so much, they wanted more of it. But nowadays, that role is not really filled in the main game. It's kind of filled by DLC nowadays. So if you want an after game, if you want to play more of the game, you'll just go the DLC route, honestly. What do you think of that?
I mean, DLC is basically after game for the most part. I mean, because
but it didn't exist before.
Right. So I don't know. I always like having more story, obviously, but if the after game part isn't adding anything to the thing, then because with Pokemon, it kind of adds to it because you're still collecting, the gym badges, and especially in Silver, when you were able to go back to the red, blue version and go to all those gym leaders, it was nostalgic, but at the same end, it's still your Pokemon that you've just been using.
Yeah.
Whereas I can't really think of a good example where there's end game stuff and it's just useless crap.
Yeah. Well, in Pokemon too, especially with Pokemon Emerald, you actually have the Battle Frontier where you can do extra stuff there. But I'm definitely with Mike where it's an open-ended games. If it's just a regular story game or whatnot, maybe a regular RPG that you would expect. So maybe something like Golden Sun, where it's just an RPG. You don't really need an after game there. But for certain genres that are very gameplay focused, not very much story focused, because story's over, that's fine, but very gameplay focused, they would want a good after game after that. Which kind of leads to the next question: if they add an after game, what's the most important element to include in that after game
A
to
challenge.
keep people playing it.
Like,
What do you mean?
If the after game is like, say it's Pokemon, but like the Pokemon that you will then be facing aren't high enough level, then I would just kind of be bored because I'm like, okay, this isn't challenging at all. I can just restart the game. It'll be the same exact gameplay that I would be having, only I would have to be training my Pokemon again. Like, they always add, like, you know, that Ash or Red character at the end where it's like insanely hard to beat him because it makes you something to be working for. Whereas
basically a super boss.
yeah. So like if you don't have any like, because like I considered that end game, like once I beat him I felt accomplished. Whether or not I restarted, I kind of depended on how attached I truly got to those Pokemon. I think I have some staved red version because we have multiple of them for some reason. That like
They can be worth a lot of money later on, dude.
yeah. So one day I will
One
still
day.
not sell them because my Pokemon are my Pokemon.
That's
But
true.
yeah, so I definitely think that in like that kind of case, you have to have it be challenging. Otherwise, it's like, why bother wasting the time of the after game where I could just restart it and it'd be the same thing? Since we're saying that it's not adding to the story, it's just more gameplay with the same things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so Mike, what do you think about that? Because I want to add in a thought afterwards.
I mean, you know, I do agree that I think challenge is good, but I think the obvious answer is just a reason to keep playing. Because a lot of games, when the story ends, you've explored every single world, you've explored every place you can, you've beaten all the enemies, so what's the point of going on? So for a game to have a good end game, there has to be something more there. I like the way Kingdom Hearts does it with like optional bosses that you beat after it, because then it's like, oh, there's this added incentive that now that you've beaten it, you can do this. There's also things like Elder Scrolls where there's pretty much unlimited side missions, and so it's hard to even call that end game because it's the same before or after. It's just kind of, you know, the game continues after you beat it. But there has to be something there, because there's a lot of games kind of like Saints Row where if you beat the game and do all the side missions, there's really nothing to do but just run around the town. And that's an end game, but there's not much to do. So I think you have to offer like missions that are, you know, exclusive, but like Travis said, also challenging, you know, like the optional bosses in Kingdom Hearts where you face this optional boss that's difficult. And, you know, I think that's what makes the end game fun.
Yeah. I think definitely it has to go beyond, like, it definitely has to have that, obviously, the super boss thing. Because what I kind of think of when I think of an after game, or at least like a good after game, beating the main story shows a good understanding of the game mechanics. It means that without using a guide, you learn through the game, you learn through your mistakes, you died a couple of times, and at the end you have a good understanding of the game's mechanics, maybe the items that you have, and that's what allows you to actually beat the final boss, because the final boss should be like the final challenge. But the super boss, or whatever comes after, kind of shows like a mastery of that battle system. So I want to put in there, for example, Xenoblade Chronicles X. So you level cap at 60 in that game, and there's bosses that are out there that are like 89, level 93, way higher level than that. And for you to beat those bosses, it doesn't really matter. You can beat already all these other enemies that you want, but to beat those bosses, you have to show a deeper understanding of the game than what is necessary to just beat it on the regular level to beat through the main game. The main game isn't too hard to beat, but the actual, like, what they call tyrants, kind of like the super bosses that roam around Planet Mira, those are the ones where you actually have to equip the right arts and find a system that can beat them, that shows that you understand the game a lot more deeply than just, oh, I can spam a couple of arts in a row and be able to beat the final boss or something like that. So that's what I kind of think is necessary in the end game, or at least if it's there, it's got to be able to show that you have a deeper understanding than what's necessary to just get through the final game. Because I know, Mike, you were talking about like some super bosses, to say, in like some Final Fantasy games, and I don't know about those, but I know in at least the games that I've played, a lot of what we would call super bosses go beyond just, oh, I know enough to beat some of the harder enemies or the bosses in the games. There's a person like beyond that I'll have to know more about. You see what I mean?
No, yeah, I get that. Well, and I was even going to say, you know, not to change the subject too much, but, what should a game do differently, I guess? I didn't ask that right. But, like, is an end game necessary? Because a lot of games have New Game Plus, which is not an end game, but it's sort of restarting the story with the same power-ups and stuff. So in that sense, it almost works like an end game where you're doing something after you finish the game that's extra. Because Persona 5 has it where if you do a New Game Plus, you're redoing the same story, but there's extra bosses in it. So it's not an end game, but it's more like a second game,
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of on the fence about that because technically it's still the same story as before. I like it because they're still doing something different with the second playthrough, because one of the things that I kind of have issues, and one of the reasons I don't really go back and play like hero mode in Legend of Zelda games, is because I really don't find like as much of a difference, I guess, in replaying it, because you're still fighting the same bosses, and yes, it's harder, maybe you don't have random heart drops, but it's in the long run kind of the same story. So I like the fact they're kind of like adjusting it a bit by giving you a couple extra boss fights. But I kind of like what they did in Bravely Default, where, sorry if this is a little bit of a spoiler for you, Mike, but where they give you the options of facing those people if you want to. There's nothing that requires you to do it. You'll see what I mean by the end game Bravely Default. The end game is weird. It's not bad, but it's weird.
Right.
You'll see what I mean.
Yeah, I'll keep an eye for that.
But yeah, what do you think? Yeah, what do you think? What do you think about that, Travis?
I haven't really I guess Batman kind of had that, where like after you beat it, there was like a plus mode, so then you can unlock like slightly higher gear that you had before, and then I'm pretty sure you even got to keep all of the gear that you already had, but you're still restarting the story, which was kind of fun, because then like they're doing the beginning stuff, but you still didn't have to like recollect everything, which was convenient. But a thing that I saw was when I was talking about the what was it, Dishonored 3, or like that little mini game that they came out with a couple months ago or a month ago.
I don't know anything about that. Mike,
anyway,
do you?
No.
When I was researching it, it said that after you beat the main story, you can replay it, but then you get the abilities of the first game person and the second game person. So, because you have the different abilities, it's completely different playthrough, even though it's the same story.
I do remember you mentioning that. Now that you say that.
So I think that's like a cool concept, because it is the same story, but the way you go about beating it will be different because they have different abilities.
Yeah.
I think the main part of it that they want to do is, at least what I would think that game developers should try to go for, is to give that variety and to give that kind of freedom to do so. Because again, if you look at Legend of Zelda games, once you have those items, you can go through the dungeons completely differently. If you sequence break the game in Majora's Mask and get the hook shot early, you can do a whole bunch of crazy things in these dungeons. So it's like, I like the fact that I know technically Legend of Zelda didn't want you to do it before and kind of like glitch your way through, which again might be another topic, but I like games that give you the option of doing that. So again, the second playthrough doesn't feel like the same, so technically it can kind of feel like an Aftergame, but it's not like the direct same thing again.
Exactly.
Like, I've done the exact same thing again, same power-ups and whatnot when I play through Paper Mario every time when I do so, because I feel like that's the easiest way to do so, and that's one of the most optimal ways. But it's boring. Like, to other people, it would be absolutely boring. I love the game. I love experiencing the story. But there's no, like, real after game to really, like, satisfy that. So, yeah. I don't know. That's what I think about, the after game. I think it's definitely, like, I like seeing it there, because I've been playing Xenoblade Chronicles X after game for a pretty long time now, and I had a lot of fun doing so, and added a lot of hours doing it. But not a lot of games have that. Or I guess also, if we want to talk about another one, Mario 3D World. That, I think they did it really well too, giving that those extra challenge levels. But that last one, holy crap, that last one's frustrating.
Oh yeah, it is.
Mike, I'm getting so close to beating it on my own without your help.
I don't remember who we did that with. Was it you, me, and Matt, Travis?
It was you, me, and Matt.
That's what it was. Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
But you were the only one who survived to the end.
No, I thought we redid it, and we did it with all three of us.
Well, we did it with all three of us, but me and Matt were bubble mode for like half of it.
It's all fair.
So Mike MVP.
Oh, Mike was definitely MVP.
Yeah,
Nice job,
I
buddy.
do what I can.
All right. Well, I guess we had most of our thoughts there. What do you guys want to say to finish it up?
I mean, I'll just, basically what we've said is that with Aftergame, I think it's nice to have for certain genres, like we said at the beginning. I don't think it fits all games. And like we said, I think it depends what kind of Aftergame you do, because with the way games do it, it can differ. We kind of talked about New Game Plus, where I think that can work a lot if you give yourself the abilities at the beginning of the game. Because like you mentioned, you can do really cool things in early dungeons with these later powers that I think make it a lot more exciting.
Yeah.
Or if you just go and beefed up, sometimes it's a lot of fun like that too. But I do like Aftergames. I do think games like Elder Scrolls and Fallout do it the best, where you just sort of have no strings attached. You can just explore the world, take on side missions, and not worry about anything else. I think that's always a really cool way to do it. So I'm a fan of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Travis?
I'm basically in the same boat where I do enjoy the Aftergame if they are like in the right genre, and then. But like that being said, I don't think I would want to like ask game developers to always put in like the Aftergame, because then it might take away from the actual story that they're trying to tell, because they're still trying to make this like Aftergame thing to work, and then like the last final boss like still wouldn't feel that accomplishing if they're like, but this is the actual main boss type thing.
So still focus on the main story, but if they do have time, Aftergame would be nice, but it should not detract from the main story. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, I see. So yeah, I would agree with all that. I love the end games that are there and that just are a lot of fun just to continue afterwards. And yeah, I don't know. We said what we wanted to. So if you guys have any suggestions for us, leave them in the comment section below. Otherwise, yeah, or tell us what is your favorite Aftergame, or do you think Aftergames are dumb? Honestly, it's all your guys' opinion. So yeah, let us know in the comment section below. And again, smash that sub button if you have it, because we know we love you guys.
Yay.
I clicked
Bye.
it. I didn't smash it though.
Oh, if you didn't break your computer, you're not subbed yet. All right, bye.
I don't feel like breaking another one.